Tight ends on tight ends on tight ends. Cody, we got a lot of tight ends to talk today. But first, I want to start in a 12 by 10, 2.5 tight end premium. TJ Hawkinson and Chuba Hubbard, or Tyler Warren, your boy Dalton Schultz, and a 26-second.
You know, Ty, sometimes you're told just take the two best assets in the deal. Whichever side has the best assets on it, I'll take it. And I think that's it for me here. I'll take Hawkinson and Hubbard.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Welcome on in, everyone, to another edition of the All Gas Trade Show. I'm Ty at Ty Declare 44. I'm joined by Cody at Cody Smith TFDR. Yes, and happy Canada Day. Woo. Yes, this isn't dropping on Canada Day, but we're recording on July 1st, the year of my nation. So happy Canada Day to all, and happy Saturday when this drops. So yes, welcome on in. Cody stepping in for our boy Gabe, who is probably currently putting away some fine china, maybe unpacking a suitcase or two. So shouts out to you. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. Another day in the off-season life where we get to see things like Darren Waller coming out of his rap career for retirement and coming back to the Miami Dolphins, who don't now have to start Pharaoh Brown. So, you know, beautiful things always popping off in the NFL world and even sports world in general. It's a big time right now. NBA's popping, NHL's popping, MLB's still doing their thing for the next 152 games or whatever it is. But we got to get back to football. I think it's like 10 weeks now.
10 weeks, I think so. I think you're right. And yeah, probably not a good sign for the rap album if you're already going back to football. But yeah, shouts out to Waller. We got some tight end trade talk to talk today. But first, you know the deal. Head on over to ddfantasyfootball.com. Use code TRADES. Use code TRADEGOAT. You get into the Discord. You get access to the tools. You get 50% off your first month. Also, patreon.com/allgas still gets you in the door. Underdog, use code ALLGAS. You get your special pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And of course, if you're here, hit like, hit subscribe, stick around a while. We're going to be here all off season. Dynasty Theory, Mannequin Chill. We got Best Ball Night School, you know, heading up over the podcast feed. I guess you got All Gas Trade Show. Get the members only content popping with the Dynasty Deal Show. You got Destination Chill as well. $3.99 American, $5.99 Canadian. I even looked it up, Cody. I looked at my billing record to make sure I had the right price for us Canadians. So not a better time to get in here. We got the mailbag with Brandon, one of the best new shows on the channel here. So make sure you're sticking around for everything that DD has to offer. But y'all already know this. Let's get into some trades here. So, Cody, one of my favorite times of year is July. When I was on here with Gabe in our first show of the season, we were talking about how July we make a bunch of dumb deals. When we look back on it, every deal that we lost, it was mostly something that happened in July. So this is the time of year I really want to try to tune into what can I expect and project for the future. And you're my favorite one to turn to because you do your own projections. You spent countless hours pouring over these projections, upgrading them, and doing everything. So I need you to talk to me about some of these tight end expectations, and one of the big ones is that Tyler Warren. So in this particular deal, 12 teams, start 10. It's a super flex PPR, 2.5 total PPR for the tight ends here. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you at the end. You're just give me the two best players in the deal in Hawkinson and Chuba Hubbard, the Canadian King. But talk to me, because Warren, you know, it's got some flexibility, a second's a second. Schultz, I don't know what to really expect from him in Houston, but talk me through your process here.
Yeah, so I do really like Tyler Warren, the prospect. I was one of those that had Tyler Warren over the Colston Loveland, even though they were close, probably going back to back almost in rookie drafts this year. But it's one of those things. Once you get over the prospect hype, and then you start actually looking at his team, you're like, oh, okay, I'm scared about how this one is actually going to work, because I promise I won't harp on him too much. But yeah, well, let's go to those projections just for a second. What do you think about the Colts offense throwing for 3,200 passing yards with a mixture of Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones over the course of 17 games? However that shakes out, 3,200 even seems somewhat reasonable for, even if it was Daniel Jones to start 17 games, it's probably not going over 3,500. And then you look at the offense, it's Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce all still have to get theirs. Jonathan Taylor out of the backfield too. Yeah. And like, what are you left with? How much of a target share or yardage share even would Tyler Warren have to get to a point? If I tell you the projections came out at 49 receptions, 532 yards, and 4 touchdowns for the first round tight end, it's not looking too great. That's in very replaceable tight end, like 15 to 20 range over the course of the year.
Yeah, that feels about right. It feels pretty gross, but again, like I think the expectation, and I do think that offense needs an easy button offense, and if Tyler Warren can be that, I think that he can find his role in that offense, whatever that might be. But I mean, if you're bet on any of these like situations like a Colts and you're waiting for the rookie tight end to be the savior, it probably feels like a 2026 and beyond play at best. Right. So if I can use some of that hype and value now, I can probably find a cheaper way into him in season would be the bet that I'm making, especially when these expectations that people have don't really meet the road. So yeah, talk to me about Hawkinson in the Minnesota offense, because I've been loud about my bets on the Minnesota offense this year. So talk to me about my boy TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, I'm loving myself some Hawkinson this year. Even whenever he came back, he was really doing pretty well for just coming back off of a serious knee injury. And I think it was 2 years ago, he was on pace for like 120 targets in a season, or had 120 targets in a season. I think he's coming in as, honestly, he's my tight end 3 in Dynasty right now. So I'm very in on TJ Hawkinson for this coming year. Very in, just in terms of Dynasty overall. We obviously have a new incomer with JJ McCarthy. We don't know what the offense looked like, but we said that same thing last year with Darnold, and they were perfectly fine. Obviously, you win 14 games or whatever it was, it's going to be, your offense is going to be pretty all right. But I love myself some Hawkinson, so I definitely have, I would want the Warren in a second for Hawkinson, honestly, especially in this type of a format where you're valued so high for the tight ends. The only thing you could maybe get me on here is you're getting 2 of the tight ends back, but Dalton Schultz is just in such a replaceable land of tight end that I don't exactly care. And then I'm probably looking at it, at best, it's Hubbard for Schultz in a second, because I want it more than a second for Hubbard. So then it's just Warren and Hawkinson straight up, and I'm winning both sides of that piece of the argument here for me.
Yeah, I break it down very similarly. I think Tyler Warren in a second is what it's going to take to get my Hawkinson, is with the bets that I'm making this year. Right. And then like that's where I was interested, right? 2.5 PPR for the tight end versus I'm at like a 1 point tight end or 1 point PPR for the running back. And I was just curious, like does that sway you at all, even if it's a cruddy level tight end? But even if you do get that Schultz, like, yeah, maybe it might fit the format, but you're not going to feel comfortable, or maybe not even optimal to be flexing those guys over someone like a Chuba Hubbard, right?
You wouldn't think so. It's one of those things you could dig into the past historicals a little bit. You could build your team around something that could operate this way as well, too, if you wanted to. But again, it's just such a replaceable level of tight end. Now, maybe if the market in this specific league values a Dalton Schultz type at something more than we're probably putting the value to, then I could definitely see it. And this could probably start to swing the other way. It's tough to get over the Warren and Hawkinson part of it still for me, but I can see how a person like Schultz would be much higher valued just because of the 2.5 PPR if the league does operate that way. I just don't think either of us are valuing that Schultz in any real significance, even though it is that high of a premium.
Yeah, and like I say, you can build that way, but you can build that way with a multitude of tight ends that are going to fall into that very, very, very flat range. So I don't need to give up my Chuba to make that happen. So lefty golfer, projected top contender on Dynasty Daddy's playoff calculator. Need another running back. Well, this trade would only help that. So good stuff.
Beautiful.
Lefty golfer. I'm a lefty too. Anything below the waist, hockey, golf, I'm a lefty. Above them, right? So hey,
I'm as well. Throw right, bat left.
Look at us. Look at us. And look at this, another Warren deal. It's coming up here with Billy. Brings us a super flex 12-team start 11. It's a 1.5 tight end premium and a non-contender. So Billy sends away Brashard Smith and Tyler Warren. Gets back Jameson Williams. So 1.5 tight end premium. I am curious, did you change kind of your outlook on Detroit's offense with the change with Ben Johnson going away, or did you kind of stick with historical trends, or how did you approach Detroit? And in this kind of format, 1.5 tight end premium, how does that all break down for you?
Yeah, there was a little bit of negative regression just with the offense because they were scoring so well last year. I think it was like 53 touchdowns off top of head. That could be completely wrong that the offense scored, though, in total. But there was a very high end of the NFL competing, just based upon positive regression or negative regression from the mean. It's probably unlikely to perform at that level again. So it's really not even because of the offensive coordinator change. I do also think that we completely discredit just because he looks like a freaking middle linebacker or a DN. Dan Campbell is also very offensively minded. He was tight ends coach back at like my alma mater A&M as well. So he's grown up in the offensive side of the game as well. So there's still a lot of insulation with that. So I don't have too much regression for them, but there is just the natural regression from that high efficiency of a season from this year to last year. But then when you talk about Jameson Williams, I've been a JMO hater probably since he came into the league. I was always saying that he was just a guy that could run straight and run fast. but he's become more than that, obviously. And even if that is probably still where he wins a lot of the times, a lot of creative stuff and just vertically, he can still do that very, very well. And the offense utilizes him that way very well. So I would probably still in a 1.5. It's not enough to swing it for me. I'm probably going with Jameson Williams here over the Tyler Warren. Brashad Smith, honestly, I know people are excited about the incoming rookie, but a 7th-round pick in a crowded backfield in KC. I know it's not crowded with a bunch of top-tier guys, but there's still a lot of names there. Don't really value anything on that, so I'm probably just going to side with Jameson.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way myself because I'm just thinking of like the type of wide receiver I want to roster in a 12 by 11, right? Like I need a certain level, and I don't necessarily need to be at the top of the ladder, but if I can have guys that can have those spike weeks, that can do the Jameson Williams thing, where if he does get involved, is probably going to be for big plays. I'm more down for that versus trying to bet on a tight end and a 1.5 tight end premium and any running back on a 52, 53, however many you want to say with Brashard Smith. JMO, yeah, it's the bet, right? Does it continue? Does he go back to being a best ball only type guy? I'm not going that far. I think I'll lean JMO here. Just again, I feel like there's probably cheaper and better ways to get into Tyler Warren down the line. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll pay the price down the line, but at least I'll know what I'm getting into. And because if you make that deal, Cody, it's almost like you have to bet that Tyler Warren is your one guy or your second guy, and that's it. So if you already have a tight end in place, or if you can replace that for cheaper on waivers, I have trouble kind of spending the JMO cost to get that Tyler Warren off you now.
Right. And it just, unfortunately with Warren, and we're probably going to see a couple more here, it does just become a little player takey for me right now. Yeah. If it is one of those things, like, because even if you're trying to build for the future, well, Jameson Williams still definitely fits into that mold. I don't have any concern about him not even being off his rookie contract. It would just have to be one of those things where I have such an excess at wide receiver that I can trade away somebody like JMO to fill the need at tight end. But then it just always comes back to for me, I'd still rather fill it with somebody else. If I had to fill that position immediately, then I'd rather go to like the Evan Ingram, David Njoku range for probably a cheaper price.
Yeah. Is there any conversation on just getting points off the roster on a team you're not trying to win with and just taking the bet on someone like Warren?
I just probably want to still shed somewhere else. I would hope that I have somewhere else to shed points than Jameson Williams.
Right.
Because that's not that's not the type of piece that I'm trying to shed points out of. Like I'd have to be in full tank mode. And then there's still the upside outcome with Warren that he does outproduce what I'm currently projecting for. And that's definitely a thing with rookies. Like I sure as hell didn't say that Brock Bowers was going to set the NFL record last year. Right. So there's a lot of variance whenever it comes to these guys that we don't have historical numbers on. So I'm definitely open to the idea of it, but it's just one of those things. Like you said, like I'd much rather make the bet for 26 when if it doesn't work out this year, then you have still the incoming hype of probably you could easily have a new head coach and definitely a new quarterback if it doesn't work out this year.
Javonte Williams, yes. JMO Williams, no. I'll take JMO there. Good stuff. Billy. Yes. Okay, Rocket. Oh, Cryptic Rocket gives us a 12-team start 10 Superflex PPR. It's a full 1-point tight end premium. Get $1,000 in free agent acquisition budget, aka Fab, Cody. And Cryptic Rocket sends away Tyler Warren, also sends away Judkins, Sampson, the whole Cleveland backfield, Jaden Blue, JT Sanders, and 24 Fab dollars. That's a 2.4% for those paying attention at home. Gets back Trey McBride, Jordan Mason, Damian Martinez, and Cam Scattaboo. So 2.0 total tight end premium. Sending away a lot of rookies, a lot of hope. Getting back McBride, Mason, and a couple rookies yourself, and Scattaboo and Martinez. What's the math here? What even adds up to McBride on the Suns side?
All of it. I'm trying to build it out because like all that I have to really build off of is Judkins and Warren, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that alone gets there. So now you're asking me to put in like a Sampson as well. And then you start but then I can easily cross out Sampson and Scattaboo because they were probably going in that second, third round range as running backs. Jaden Blue, sure you can throw that in, but I could easily cancel that out with Jordan Mason, Jatavian Sanders, and Damian Martinez. Obviously, JT Sanders is, one of those other guys that'll probably fall into a flat range of tight end, but there's nothing here that I'm getting up to the level of McBride for, right?
No, there's no picks. There's You're taking the clear step down to Warren. You need the elite Tyler Warren outcome for this to be close for me. Clearly, there's some Quinshon Judkins love, and Quinshon's the best running back in the deal, right? From what we know today, and you get his backup, you get another one in Jaden Blue, you get JT Sanders as another tight end dart. I'll tell you what, if I have my McBride, I am not moving into this package. This is McBride all day here, Rocket. The other owner was shopping McBride and he only had one share of McBride in your league, so you acted at the chance to get the second. Well, thank God you did. Shopping or giving away, I'm not sure which one. Anything else on this barn burner here, Cody?
Yeah, no, I mean, if I could have that price for McBride, I'd probably have 100% ownership of McBride. I wouldn't just stop at one share. You just start sending these out, and you can collect as many McBrides as you want if that's the price.
Cody, I got up to my 10th share of McBride this offseason, my friend.
Yeah, like me and Nico.
25 leagues. Yeah. Like I said, if you're going to do it, at least do it for an elite player. Don't do it for, I don't know, Chase Claypool. Kev, 12 teams start 7, Cody. PPR, no tight end premium. You're getting into Warren and the Canadian King, Chuba Hubbard. You're giving away Alvin Kamara, George Pickens, Mason Taylor, and a 2027 third. That's it. 12 by 7, Cody. No tight end premium. What's your priority in a 12 by 7 league? And does the math here for you?
You better be like top 24 at your position in running backs and wide receivers, or top probably 7 at tight end, or I really don't care. 12 by 7 it's also just, are we sure that we're in Superflex or not? I mean, if we're not, it has to be one QB, because if you're playing 2 QBs, then you only have 5 other position players. Like, seriously. I don't even know how you make it that shallow. Not that it matters in this one, except for the third, I guess, but still, it's just incredibly shallow. So you've got to be a top scorer in that range. You know, Mason Taylor, it's tight end, so like the tight end is an individual position, so it doesn't matter as much there. But man, trying to start off with this one, I can probably just go Kamara and Mason Taylor for Hubbard is probably where I'd sit, something like that, and then Warren for Pickens and the third.
No tight end premium. Yeah, give me Pickens and the third there.
Yeah.
But I mean, and there's gonna be people on both sides of that, so I'm cool there. And yeah, Kamara, Hubbard. Yeah, Hubbard. I guess you kick back the Mason Taylor, sure. Yeah, I mean, 12 by 7. So if it is super flex, it's either like start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 0 flexes, and just 2 quarterbacks. Assuming you're starting the quarterback every single time. Unless it's like a 1 flex league or something. Yeah, to be this shallow, I mean, again, Tyler Warren, Mason Taylor, it's just not. I either want to play very, very cruddy or very, very good at tight end in this kind of a format, I think. That's not doing it for me. Give me Kamara, give me Pickens, give me Taylor in the third. You're going to get the same, if not more, production out of Kamara, I'll bet. George Pickens, I like the situation. I like the 1 year bet, and then it's either a re-up or you find somewhere else. Mason Taylor, Tyler Warren, year 1, who truly knows? I'll definitely lean Warren, but hey, maybe your projections tell me different, Cody. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at that Jets room and there's Jeremy Ruckert at the tight end, and you're saying that Josh Reynolds is your wide receiver too, along with Alan Lazard as your slot guy right now. The offense is definitely looking a little bit barren, and Mason Taylor could definitely step into a little bit of a role there. Unlike the situation with Warren, where you have low passing volume, you do as well with the Jets, but a lot of receivers that have kind of already planted themselves in as guys in the NFL. But man, this one's just so on the edges for me, because even though you are still talking about Hubbard and Kamara, I still just keep looking at start 7, and it just seems almost a little bit lower than the range that I really want to operate in. Like this one, especially if it's super flex, all that I care about is just getting stud quarterbacks, because they make up 30% of my total points every single week. I can see this one though. Like I like Hubbard. If you want to move off the aging out Kamara, if you want to move that to get into the Hubbard, and Warren will still hold value regardless of what we're currently saying here on this show right now. So I do think that you could probably extract something similar for Warren and Pickens. And if you made it Hubbard for Kamara, Taylor in a third, like I could see this one being a little bit more even, closer than the other Warren trades we've potentially went through in the past couple ones here.
Yeah, this feels like probably the closest, And for Kev's roster before the trade, JD5, T-Law, Milrow. Yeah, so you got JD5. So you have to have at least one of those guys to compete in a league like this, I think. Then you got Saquon, Brees, and Kamara. I like that. Again, I don't think sending away or swapping Chuba and Kamara, that doesn't change my bottom line. Ladd, T, Hunter, Golden, Debo, Pickens. You probably need another wide receiver, but again, how many are you truly starting every week? And what can I do now to try to aim higher in that room? Jacoby Myers as well in there. And then you got Ingram, and now you have Mason Taylor gone. Fannin was there. I guess you kind of upgrade your tight end too. I know you and me are pressing start on Ingram every single week that he's healthy.
Right.
Seeing the team again, it's just consolidate where you can truly, but you have a couple of the difference makers kind of locked in already. So how do you feel seeing the teams that sway you anything on this deal?
It just kind of feels a little bit lateral, I guess. The one big loss that you do have is you get out of the Pickens, but as shallow as we were talking about with the wide receivers, you don't need Ladd, T, Hunter, Golden, Debo, Pickens, Jacoby. That is a point of excess that you're dealing with at this point, and you get the presumed upgrade, or it's definitely in value, the upgrade from Mason Taylor to Tyler Warren. So I can see where this one you are doing that consolidation to get down into two more valuable pieces. Like I'm okay with this one. My only thing maybe would be like I'm trying to still up tier at that wide receiver position more and really condense that room together. So maybe I would have wanted to use that Pickens specifically if I could do the up tier with Pickens and another wide receiver, or Pickens and somewhere else in Kamara to try to get to a higher tier of wide receiver. Maybe where I was going first, but as we were saying, like you want to consolidate in this type of a league, and that's what you probably did here. Yeah,
the no tight end premium piece, it's studs or duds, especially in this style of a format too. If you feel like Warren or Hubbard gets you closer to the next deal, then cool. Kamara, Pickens, Taylor, you're just kind of shuffling deck chairs, I feel like. So choose your favorites. Who are you going to like to look on in your lineups on Sunday, and what bets are you making today? So let us know. Are you taking Chuba and Tyler Warren? Are you taking Kamara, Pickens, Mason Taylor, and a third? Let us know. Okay, we're done with the Tyler Warren talk, but we're not done with tight ends here. We've got a 14-team start 11 and a 1.75 tight end premium. So we'll get into some context in a minute here, but Kookski gets James Conner and George Kittle. Sends away Ben Sennett, a 26th first and a 26th third. Fruit Boops is first, so it's not Kootski's. Conner and Kittle, Sennett, a first and a third. I know I'm going to be on the James Conner and George Kittle side. I'm curious how you feel, depending on what the bet on that first is. If it's early, if it's late, like does that change it for you? Where are you at looking at the old Sennett being moved in a deal here?
Ben Sennett, a fullback playing tight end and masquerading there. I'm not too concerned about moving away that potential upside as people might have to say about Ben Sennett, or the third, really, whenever you get
Bell cow Sennett, baby.
Whenever you're talking about a third and Ben Sennett in this deal, the first definitely does matter. It will change things a little bit, but Kookski being where he is, and you're getting back knowing some Kookski teams over the past couple of years, and you're getting James Conner and George Kittle back in the same deal. This is you would hope a very aligned move to try to win now and compete now. So whenever you're looking at the first for Kittle, I just in one of our leagues, the one we've been running for years, and I'm back-to-back champion, and just bought a George Kittle for a 26 first. Obviously, it's not his own, which may make it a little bit later in this scenario if we are saying he's a competing team, but might be right up there with the other contenders. And so I could easily buy George Kittle for the first. James Conner is well over Ben Sennett in a third.
Well over. So Kookie's out of the rebuild and into the fire. The league has one super team and 6 frisky teams. He's got, again, this is the Jaden Daniels week, man. Every deal I've looked at has had Jaden Daniels in it. So Jaden Daniels, Cam, got Kamara, Connor, Hendo, Garendo, all the O's, Rashee Rice, London, Pickens, Golden, Trey Harris, Lockett, Kittle, and Strange. He owns all of his picks, plus an extra 26 first and second, and an extra 27 first, so he has some cash in the bank still. Gave away the first of another competing team. The extra first that he holds is likely non-playoff, so this is very well done. It's at a late first on the bet on Connor and Kittle. That's one of the process moves that Scott, gosh, he put out a podcast over a year ago at this point, I'd say. Just like the type of deals you can make with your first, or like the type of leverage moves you can make, and getting the two producing the bet on the veterans for your first or for a late first like this. That's a move. Ben Sennett in a third, not going to stop a deal for me. So I really like this. Get Connor, get Kittle, fill it out of the rebuild into the fire. Cody, really quick, if you're on those teams, like, when you've made the decision that, okay, I'm going to go from rebuilding to competing, how quick are you to kind of sell those first into deals like this?
Not very, honestly. Like I typically, you'll have that kind of like stocked up war chest, hopefully, of a couple of assets, of picks, of a couple of things that you've liquidated over the past couple of years while you've been in that tank. But I'm really only concerned with getting my starting lineup to the point where it looks like I can contend, or at least that first year coming out of the rebuild. Like, get me to a point where I can say, hey, this team has enough legs to it to where I can definitely sneak into the playoffs. I'll probably be like a 4-6 team, but then I have all of this asset liquidation still just saved up in the war chest. And then once we get to the playoffs, as long as my team, I can fill in a couple of holes here and there, but then all these other teams who have probably been pushed in for a couple of years now have probably nothing to backfill with. I just am sitting here with like 2-3 firsts and seconds out the to be throwing at the roster whatever I want at the end of the season, especially when you're dealing with no trade deadline leagues. That's definitely my favorite way to play it.
Definitely. And like, I usually give it 4 weeks, right? If I'm 1-3, okay, I can just roll that thing over. But like I said, I'm not typically one to push in now in July. I want to carry that forward, duct tape the wings on this thing. Let's see if it flies. And like you said, guess what people are going to want week 11, 12, 13, 14, let alone if it's in the playoffs and people get knocked out. They're going to want those first, and they'll be able to trade you a lot of things that you can plug into your lineup. So if you can hold off, have some patience, that can truly, truly pay off. Okay. Shepard, 87. Let's go. Brings us a 12-team Superflex Start 10. It's a PPR league and a 1.0 tight end premium. I notified here this happened on June 25th because we have a Jonnu Smith in the trade, now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also former member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens, and the 108, which will probably be a receiver going to the Steelers. That's something. No, I'm kidding. The 108 this year, it's going to be all that for Drake May. Cody, I have a lot of questions on Jonnu, how the trade impacts you and your rankings there and the whole offense as a whole in Pittsburgh. Jonnu Pickens, 108 for May, 12 by 10, PPR, 1.0 tight end premium. What are you doing here, my friend?
Yeah, I'll start with a little bit about Jonnu and the trade, I guess, before we really dig into the actual trade here itself. We'll talk about the actual NFL side of things. It's not great for either him or Freiermuth, obviously, right? We've seen Arthur Smith and obviously the connection with Jonnu doing the same thing with Kyle Pitts back in 2023 before he was canned, and then has now been the offensive coordinator with the Steelers. Gets to have his reuniting with Jonnu. And they're going to run the hell out of 13 personnel, and they're probably going to use DK Metcalf and their tight ends as wide receivers 2 and 3 over the Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, anything else that exists on this offense right now. So they're going to be targeted. It's just, I don't know. Like, I went through and updated my sheet, and they came out almost identical with Freiermuth and Jonnu. And it was both like 45 to 50 catches for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns apiece. And you're just like, man, like if you combine those two things into one, they'd be fantastic. And you'd be one of the best tight ends in the league that year. But this is just, it feels like without an injury, but then even then, like you're not going to play the same way if one of them does go down, and the target share isn't going to be just this one thing that would come together. That's why like Freiermuth wasn't up there. Now you add in a little bit more target share to the tight end room, and it just kind of just nukes them both in the flatland range. And so Johnny was obviously much better whenever he was not traded and he was on the Miami Dolphins. So we can look at this trade with a little bit of a different value here, because obviously this trade had a lot more Johnny. What would you say? I mean, in a standard 1.0 tight end premium league, I mean, he was easily going for a top tier second, and now he's probably maybe worth a second at best.
Yeah. Again, you think of the type of season you have to have and the type of usage you have to have as a tight end to have one of those meaningful and impactful seasons like John, who has had in the past. I just don't see the path for that for him. And in Pittsburgh. I mean, for either Freiermuth or him, it's just going to be, unfortunately, a lot of kind of fighting for the same thing. So, pour one out for Ben Mason, pour one out for the Jonnu lovers. But hey, Arthur Smith, still the guy in charge there. So maybe it all works out in the wash and Jonnu's just the guy. But for me, yeah, it's tough to kind of feel the same way you felt about Jonnu when you went to bed before this happened.
Definitely. Like, how are we on Pickens though? I don't know if I've heard. I know the Pickens deal happened. We've gotten a little bit of a time to simmer with it. I'm pretty damn excited about George Pickens. Like, this offense has been throwing the ball all over the place with Brian Schottenheimer as OC. Now, obviously, it's been Mike McCarthy probably play calling, but I don't expect this to change that much, especially when all you did was just bring in another George Pickens type, and then you add to your running back room with a bunch of random cast of misfit toys, kind of, with Javonte, and drafting later round Jaden Blue and bringing in a Miles Sanders. Like, I'm just not excited about the running back room. I don't think they are either. And this offense can easily throw the ball up to like 650 times, and CeeDee Lamb can't eat them all.
That's exactly it. And then, yeah, like I think excited is a tempered excitement, I think, is what I would say for Pickens, because, yeah, I think he lands in a much better situation. An offense is going to pass the ball. It's not going to take a lot for people to see a couple Dak Prescott moon balls on primetime TV to really want to get behind that Pickens. It's a 1-year deal, right? So it's either he does well in Dallas, stays there in a good situation, and he gets re-signed, or he's probably the talk of free agency, right? Where is he going to go? And you can use that when players are in the news, whether it be good or bad. Like, at least it's going to be there. So I'm kind of excited on Pickens. I'm looking on Dynasty Daddy right now, just really quick. Quinshon Judkins for Pickens and Steph Diggs. Jonathan Taylor in 2-1 for Pickens, Zay Flowers in a 4th. George Pickens in a 1st for Marvin Harrison Jr. T. Higgins in 210 for George Pickens in 206. So looking for that second upgrade. So, I mean, people like them some Pickens, man. Pickens for 227 first, 10 by 11. Wow. So, yeah. Oh, well, you'd love this one. Nico Collins and George Pickens for Brian Thomas Jr., Cody.
Oh, I get the better wide receiver and I get a free George Pickens. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, I mean, for Shepard here, he just did a dispersal. He only had Burrow at quarterback, still has Marv, London, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, and Njoku at tight end. So 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR, 1.0 tight end premium. I mean, again, I like George Pickens. I like what I can do with 108, and Jonnu is a bet that made sense on June 25th. But even then, it's still going to be Drake May for me, even though I think that his expectations for what the Dynasty manager are expecting and what reality is, it's probably not going to meet for me. So I'm on the May side here, even with that. But I also want to hear what you have going for May in your projections.
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm looking at this right here, it's a 108 in George Pickens, which we easily probably just told from those trades. You can fetch a first for George Pickens anytime you want to right now. And when this was made, you were fetching probably a high too, especially in this type of a league, for Jonnu Smith. It's too much of a price probably for me to get to May. I don't even know, even looking at it now, whenever I'm just saying it's 2 first plus to get to a Drake May right now. Yeah. I know he's in that like up and coming elite tier, and if you want to get in, that's probably the price you have to pay. There's just such a disparity at quarterback right now, where you have your 4, you have a couple of young hopefuls, and then you have just kind of everybody else. There's a couple of random ones built in there, like a Kyler or something, or Patrick Mahomes, that can probably get back up there if they have the type of seasons they've had in the past. But I just don't know if I'm going to make the bet with Drake May. The rushing floor is what I think everybody is hanging a lot of the hat on, and the rushing upside. And he was rushing, I want to say it was the 3rd highest rushing yards per attempt in NFL history, behind only one other guy twice, which was Michael Vick.
Vick is what they call him.
Drake Vick. If he continues to run at 7.5 yards per attempt year over year, I just don't think that that's happening. And your realistic floor of like people saying that he can rush for like 600, 700 yards in a season, realistically more comes back down to like 350 to like a Justin Herbert type of rushing floor, just on the number of attempts he had, unless his rushing share just goes way up. And that's with having a pretty poor wide receiver core and a much better one, improved what you would assume this year, bringing some of the pieces that they've had. So he came in at quarterback 17 for me in terms of projections. And Obviously, that's pretty drastically different compared to his Dynasty KTC value of quarterback 7. And I still fully understand why that's there, because the upside, the bet on trying to hit to one of those next guys that can crack into that top 4. Drake May is still a good bet to do that. I just don't think that I'm going to pay a 2 first plus price to do it.
That's fair. And I really can't hate you for that, because again, paying 2+ first for any player in Dynasty, you have to be convicted and it has to make sense. I do feel like people will make excuses one way or the other if he doesn't meet expectations.
Yep.
And May does feel like the piece that gets me closer to the Josh Allen tier. I'm just looking here at old Dynasty Daddy's trade database. Drake May, Travis Hunter, and Calvin Ridley to get Josh Allen in a 12/10, Cody. Ooh. May, Hunter, Ridley, Josh Allen.
May, Hunter, Ridley. The Travis Hunter hype is also to a fevered pitch that I can't really get behind on the actual value of. I'm probably still doing Josh Allen, but I think the value actually definitely lies on the Drake May side there.
Probably, right? But then you also see deals Drake May for Justin Fields, a first and a second. Kyler and a first for Drake May. Marvin Harrison for Drake May straight up. Wow. Drake May and a first for Jaden Daniels and 3/3. Prescott and a first. Yeah, 3/3. Yeah, got to have those. Prescott and a 26 first for Drake May. So
that seems much more aligned to like what I think my price point would be.
Yeah. So again, if you want to make the bet and you have room on your roster there and it makes sense to get into like a Pickens or 108, I'm cool with it, man. Again, I would just do it with a plan, right? If your plan is to take May and then try to use it from there, I mean, good luck getting 2+ first worth of value on the open market again, but you've just kind of created the market there as well. So it's a good way to use your Jonnu, and this kind of speaks to getting deals done and making moves and making bets. So, you got off Jonnu right before the thing came to a halt. So good work. But yeah, I'm curious what the people would do here. Jonnu Smith, Pickens, or 108. Let us know for May. Drake May.
There's also a little bit of just like team need on that one too. Like if you need the quarterback to make the move there, yeah, for sure. Like pay the price, go for it.
Yeah. Does getting Drake May make moving a Burrow easier? Right. Like, and I can kind of approach it from that angle as well. Okay. John K, 12-team half-point PPR super flex and a half-point tight end premium. So start 11. We're trading away your boy Nico Collins, my boy Trey McBride in 2 seconds. We're getting Justin Herbert and Justin Jefferson. The Justin deal here from John. So Jefferson, Collins, Herbert, McBride, 2 seconds. 12-team start 11. I mean, I know this is a pro Nico show, Cody. So you don't gotta sway me one way or the other on why Nico should be valued as an elite wide receiver. But talk to me like Jefferson versus Collins. Does the JJ McCarthy impact what you're expecting from Justin Jefferson? Herbert versus McBride in a league like this, 2 seconds. How does it all math out for you?
Yeah, the interesting part of this is like the half point PPR. So the elite wide receiver almost doesn't even matter as much. I really just like you have to get so many receptions to make up that half point for each one of them to make it really count over the course of an entire season, that I think it actually almost diminishes the gap between Justin Jefferson and Nico Collins for me a little bit. Justin Jefferson, even with the JJ McCarthy experience, did come out as my wide receiver 3. He was a wide receiver 2, but then I added in a CD Lamb rushing yardage, and he just barely eked him out. So they're very close at the top, but it is still Justin Jefferson at 3 for me with Lamb at 2. But it's definitely the gap of Collins to Jefferson. I think that your normal price on market would probably be a first, but for me specifically, and I think in this league specifically, I'm fine with bridging that gap for a second. And I think I'm also fine as long as I have the excess at quarterback to do it. The 1 point total TEP, though, does hurt McBride a good bit in this. So I think it comes down to a need-based one for me on where I want to go between the Justin Herbert and Trey McBride portion of it. But I'm definitely fine on the McBride and a second to get out of the Justin Herbert. I think I'm on the send side just on the surface of this one, but I think the last 2 parts, I'm definitely fine and cool with the sweep, just washing out at the wide receivers in the 2. But I think it's just team dependent based for me where you get to the Herbert and McBride in the other 2 part. Yeah,
because again, if you're telling me I get McBride in a second for Herbert, yeah. And then if you're okay taking the Jefferson and Nico for a second bath, then yeah, like I think that makes sense. But I mean, I do think that also like in these kind of formats, so it's a low tight end premium. It's a 12 by 11. So I still consider that kind of shallow, right? It's nothing too deep. Having the actual elite tight ends, if they do hit, do you feel like that matters more in a non-tight end premium, or is it just as the premium goes up, the elite guys should go up, or like how does that math for you?
Yeah, I think I forget who's done the math. It's just been in the fantasy universe for so long that I've kind of just picked up on it. But people have done the math on it to where like all that tight end premium really does, like it gets a couple more guys in your flex, but it makes your top end guys just so much more elite. And it makes having them just so much more impactful, especially on a lineup type of roster, to where the 1 point total TP doesn't exactly move the needle for me as much, but still having one, I mean, it's still a pretty good point per game difference over all of your opponents, even in this type of a format where it's still valuable. But as the tight end premium does progress, as the amount of points per catch does grow, I do think that it elevates those elite tight ends more.
That's fair. Yeah. And that's kind of like, again, I think I need to see the rest of the team to really give you a clear answer here. Because if you told me the story on either side, I bet it makes sense both ways. Even if you called it Nico in 2 seconds for Jefferson, I think Herbert and McBride are going to be going back to back in most startups at this point, right? So, I think it's a good deal. I think I'm on Nico McBride in 2 seconds. I don't need Big Diaz taking my tight end membership card for not taking McBride here. But yeah, I mean, it's a good deal. I mean, and definitely team dependent. So Herbert, yeah, you get the quarterback checkbox. You get to the Justin Jefferson, but you stay with Nico McBride. You get 2 seconds to play with. I don't mind that. Any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, surface level. I've got to be on the Nico McBride in 2 seconds side, but I can easily tell myself the story. A lot of it is just that personal bias for me on Nico, though. Like he's coming out as my wide receiver 5. I have him ranked Dynasty November 5 in my rankings for just pure Dynasty as well. It's not even a projection base take for me. That's just overall Dynasty ranks as well. So I probably don't have as much separation there as other people would probably put him closer down into like the Rashee Rice territory.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that's appropriate. And again, if you had you had the deal in mind where I'm going to take that Herbert now and go down and get a JJ McCarthy in a first or whatever else your plan is there, if you had a cascading move on either side, I'm here for it. I'm down for it. So
totally.
Yeah, I like that. Good stuff, John. Shane, our boy. Shane, there's a 12-team start 11 super flex. It's a 6 point. You know that I typed this up and Shane did not type out this format, but it's a 6 point passing touchdown, -2 interceptions, a tiered PPR, up to 2 tight end premium for tight ends. So 0.5 for running backs, 1 for wide receiver, 2.0 for tight ends. And it's a 0.2 point per carry. So Shane here, he gave up Achane, and this was before the Dolphins dealt. And no, this is Shane spelling Johnu, which I feel like John is just how he spells it all the time in his head, and I love it. So this deal, 12-team start 11, Devon Achane, and a 27 first for Tony Pollard and Drake London. So talk to me here, Cody, on the point per carry here, 0.2. It's fairly significant. You got Achane and a first. You got Pollard and London. 12 by 11. Again, like the London and Achane conversation is interesting. How much production will Pollard give you versus what that first is worth? I'll tell you what, I do like the Achane at a first side for what I can do with that, especially if I have a plan at wide receiver, but London could be him as well. So I'm curious on your projections on London versus Achane and all that and how this all mass out for you, but how do you feel here?
Yeah, just off of pure instinct, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, Achane in the first. I'm still in on the Achane experience. I like the 27 first over Pollard. I do think Pollard's being slept on a good bit, though, especially with the fall off that we kind of saw from Spears over the back half of last year. He's going to be their lead running back in Tennessee this year, so I don't think that gap is that far as what we're saying. Let's see if I can pull these ones up here. Achane coming in is running back 7 for me comparatively to a Drake London coming out as wide receiver 7. So actually right there neck and neck in terms of the positional values and then which one of those is your league catered to. I think that's really where this one probably sets the edge for me is like in the 0.2 point per carry. I know Achane's never going to be like this 20 carry a game elite workhorse type of a guy, even though he has had to fill that role a couple of times over the course of his career. We don't expect that to be the normal case going forward, but the A-chain side of it and the 0.2 point per carry for me, I think I just got to go there. And then you're giving me the liquidity of the 27 first. I can't fault the bet on London though, and I do still really like Pollard. So it came out a lot closer than my initial gut reaction said for me, but I think I still got to be on the A-chain first.
Yeah, it's just, again, like A-Chan does feel like the upside bet at running back. And the 27 first is something that you can't discount. It's going to be liquid. It is going to be a real year, and that is going to be in your back pocket all year, like we've kind of already talked about. And yeah, Pollard he's a good bet. He's not the reason I make or break a deal, even at this stage, even though I do think that he is being slept on. And yeah, it just comes down to what London is. So you said you have wide receiver 7 for you. So I mean, that speaks highly of, and I assume it's kind of closely tied to what we saw at the end of the season when Penix came on. Yeah,
it was definitely a little bit of definitely some of the projection, some of the sample size that was baked into that, but a lot of it, even more so, a lot of it was just over the course of what he's done, and then the progression of, okay, well, let's raise our touchdown percentage by at least a little bit, because that has been dreadful over the years. Let's remove some of those Kirk Cousins games where you just completely fall off, but that is also improved by the Kirk Cousins games that everybody does tend to forget, it seems like, where he was going off for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns in multiple weeks. So those were there. The one concern I have with, the Michael Penix experience that everybody remembers so well is extremely exacerbated by a very, very good game against the worst defense the league has ever seen in the Carolina Panthers, and in an overtime game whenever you're just looking back at the box scores. The other 2 games were very mediocre. And I do have concerns about the Michael Penix train, but even with me putting Michael Penix as far down, like he's coming in disgustingly low at like quarterback 29 in my rankings. And Drake London's still wide receiver 7 with that.
Okay. I mean, that makes me feel better about it too, right? Is even with the probably realistic expectations for Penix, right? Where I'm happy if he breaks those, right? But if London is still wide receiver 7, even in that scenario, I mean, yeah, the Pollard bet makes sense. It just comes down to kind of what are you doing with wide receiver in this league and what the market is. I mean, I think it's a good deal. Me too. I would thought I'm on A-Chan at a first pretty strongly here with the point per carry. But I mean, the more we talk about it, the closer it's becoming for me. I do think I'm still going to go A-Chan in the first, just because of, again, I'll make the bet on A-Chan. I'll use that first elsewhere. I'll replace wide receiver cheaper. And Pollard is nice for the format, but again, I can figure that out probably for cheaper. So I'm going to make the bet on the difference maker at running back. But the London side could be right. So this is a good deal. This is a lot closer than I thought it would be. I'll still go A-Chan in the first though. Same.
But if he makes that jump into the top tier, like you're winning the London side because of the just wide receiver versus running back game.
Maybe the London bet's something I have to take a look at there. But all right. Jay Perocco, 12 teams, start 11. One of the first is his, and the other one looks early. So Jay sends away Judy, Justin Herbert, a 26 first, a 26 first, and a 26 third. So one's early, one is his. And on his side, he's getting Tua, Tyreek Hill, Zach Ertz, and oh yeah, CeeDee Lamb. So CeeDee Lamb changes some math there for sure. 2 firsts, 1 early, 1 his. He's adding a lot of points to his roster here in a 12 by 11. So my bet is that pick is looking to be probably later than what it was before this trade happened. Judy's interesting. Herbert, I like him over Tua, but we've talked about kind of what Tua can be for production-wise on prior shows. So CD, let me ask you this. CD for Judy and 2 firsts in 2026.
That's right where I put the price in my head, especially if one of them looks to be early. Like that feels fairly square. Maybe even you could kick in the third to it, but like the Judy and 2 first, one of them being early, one of them being late, feels about right.
Sure. We have no details on the tight end premium, but let's call it, maybe just call it CD and Ertz for Judy, 2 first and a third.
Yep, sure.
So then it's Tua and Tyreek for Herbert. Probably team dependent, right? Do I need to split assets? Do I need an extra wide receiver? Do I want to consolidate at quarterback? Just in general, Tua and Hill or Herbert at a 12 by 11.
I'm going to go the Tua and Tyreek side just because of the points production game for me comparatively to Herbert. The Greg Roman offense, even though we were scared about it last year, it kind of felt like that scaredness has gone away over the offseason. But because last year whenever Greg Roman came in, we buried Justin Herbert. It felt like we buried him down to like quarterback 15, 16, 17 in terms of overall dynasty rankings. Do you know where he finished up in points per game over the course of the season? Quarterback 15. So we were kind of right to do that. And then now we vaulted him all the way back up because we don't have anybody else all the way back up to like quarterback 7 or quarterback 8 in terms of dynasty ranks. And it's like, I don't know if the in additions of Najee Harris and Amari and Hampton are saying that they're going to throw the ball more. I know you also brought in Trey Harris and Lab McConkey look good, but I would say that Greg Roman probably isn't a guy that I'm going to bet is going to change his stripes all that much. And they doubled down at retooling the running back position. Like I think that quarterback 15 is probably the cap that I'm putting on Justin Herbert on the season. The Dolphins side, though, is also equally scary because obviously the Tua injuries, and that team looks to be like they are 1 year away from pulling out the rug on everything. And they could easily be in another situation where the team isn't good again, and we get mopey Tyreek and we get injured Tua.
Right.
And Tyreek Hill then is at the end of his career. He's never valuable again. Tua is, potentially 1 year away from being canned from the organization. And you would much rather have Justin Herbert. So I think there's risks on both sides of that bet. I think the rest of it's square. It's just which side do you want to be on. I'll lean on the 1 year production side, though, and I'll just take the players.
Yeah. We look at his team. So Jordan Love, Tua. We got Hampton, Harvey. We got Chase, Lamb, Nico, Hill, Smith, and Devontae Smith, and Godwin. And he has Kittle. So it's got enough to have a starting lineup. He's got some youth to sell. He's got flexibility already. So I don't mind taking the step down at quarterback there to get the extra piece in Hill in the 12 by 11. You add Ertz behind Kittle. All right, cool. Like you're rolling with that. You don't need to really mess with anything else there. I mean, on this team, the quarterback could go wrong, right? And if it does, your first is going to be sketchy. You're giving up also what should be an early first to get that done as well. So like I don't love that, but also I mean if you're right on Chase and now you have Lamb, and if you're right on Hampton or Harvey, like it's going to be hard to take this thing to the bottom. You would kind of have to like mindfully try to retool and to really make it work. So you had Herbert on this team as well. So I'm interested. Like do you feel like, I guess 2 questions. Do you feel like this deal made his team better? And in the context of everything, how do you feel on the deal?
It definitely makes it better. The question, I think, is just how much better, because the Herbert for Tua, even if you just call that in points per game production a wash, which I don't think most people would think of it as that, but I would kind of think of it as that for the course of this year. But you've already got a Chase, Nico, Smitty, Godwin. Like you were fine enough at wide receiver probably to get through, and you've already got a Kittle, so the Ertz is back up. Lamb and Tyreek definitely do flush out a perfect starting 5 that's probably better than anybody else's in the league, so I certainly get going there. I'm just having concerns with if this is your only capital that you're blowing right now. Like I want a good amount of capital that's still on this team to be trying to what looks like go for probably a contending run here when I have 2 rookie running backs and Love and Tua as my quarterbacks. Like I want to have some extra pieces that I can either backfill with as injuries come or more pieces that I can upgrade those 2 positions. I just don't know if the quarterback downgrade and the wide receiver upgrade with the tight end replacement or backup body is exactly how I would have used the pieces, even though I do still like the overall value that you got them for.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at too, right? It's a decent value for what you did. Did you have to do it? Probably not, but you did make your team better. And yeah, no, what do you have behind that? Did you just empty out your wallet? Because if so, I'm going to feel less great about it. If you still have some picks to play with, and like I said, you have flexible pieces, so you can always break things down as they do. But again, you're making this move because you have Chase and Lamb and Nico, right? So you probably don't want to break that down. And I agree. I'd be hard pressed to find a wide receiver room that can stand up to that week over week. So you have the advantage there. You have the positional bet on Kittle. Again, yeah, Tua, if his brain is on right, he's going to be probably produce what Herbert does. He just probably is. right? And if you're making the bet on him, you might as well make the bet on Hill and Hampton Harvey. We hope we're right on those. So I am going to lean the Tua, Hill, Lamb, and Ertz side. But this is one of those ones where I feel like if I look back on it in January, I could just be kicking myself because I traded away Herbert, who had his top 6 season. Judy was still Judy. The early pick was 101 or 102, and I missed the playoffs. That was a 106. Like I'm going to feel pretty bad if that happens. But if it goes right, I'm going to love what I did with that side. I just gotta win, and you get yourself a CD Lamb out of it. So anything else in this one, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where it could go terribly wrong, but that's typically what happens whenever you're throwing in first and third round picks and you're betting on that type of quarterback, and you're betting on those 2 type of quarterbacks specifically. And it could go terribly wrong. It could go terribly wrong and you still win a ship, though. Like, I think that's within the range of outcomes. And so this deal, even though you might lose the deal, if you win a ship, hey, what does it matter?
Yeah, exactly.
I would still take the player side on the surface value as well.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, got 2 more, Cody. Got one here from Hen. It's a 12 by 12 best ball. It's a 2 quarterback, 0.25 point per carry, 0.5 for first downs. It's a start 2 tight end with a 2.5 tight end premium. Wide receivers are devalued, and in this kind of a format, I could see why, because you can make the argument pretty much anywhere else on your roster except wide receiver. Hen is the defending champ. He scored 600 points more than second place throughout the season. He also has Lamar. So I'm sure if we pulled up the Dynasty data, this would be damn near, if not, a super team. In a situation like that, 12 by 12 best ball, a 26 first for Zay Flowers. I'm curious, because I know I'm not the one that makes a bet like this in a 12 by 12 best ball where I send my future first straight up for one wide receiver in this kind of a range. I'm not typically the one. I usually play wide receiver a lot more dirty. I still want to find my ways into some flotation devices in guys like a Nico and in one or two elite guys. But sending an ISO first for an ISO wide receiver feels tough, especially in this kind of a format. But I'm curious, does the context of being the defending champ, having Lamar and scoring 600 more points than second place last year, does that sway you at all? Maybe my real question is, Cody, if people in your league have the perception that your pick is going to be very, very late, probably 111, 112, are you more motivated to move that first now? Or are you willing to still play it like you would any other first? And then let me know how you feel about this kind of a deal in this format.
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, as you're going through that, I hear you scored 600 more points than anybody else. And I'm like, screw it. Have fun. Get your stack.
Right.
Like if you want to spend your first on Zay Flowers, like it probably doesn't matter at this point. I would also still say, like, I don't think that I'm personally doing it at this point, even with, it's probably being looked at as you're the 111, 112 team. Guess what? The 111, 112 come week 14 or whenever your trade deadline is, if you don't have one, hopefully you don't, somebody's still going to sell you something for that first, even if it's still looking like it's going to be a playoff first or maybe win the championship back-to-back again. Somebody will still give you points for that first. And if this team is that loaded, I just don't think you have to make the move right now. Like, why not just stay liquid? But also, like, this is a team where if you want to just have some fun with it and go and get your stack in June or July, whenever this trade was made, and get it on the docket, I mean, just load up your team. It's one of those where you can almost have fun with it. I wouldn't say it's the right process play to do, but I can fully understand. I mean, and also, like, it's not to say that, like, having the stack isn't worthwhile. Like, it's definitely a worthwhile thing to do here. Whenever you have the blow up Lamar game, you probably get this blow up Zay Flowers game as well. And it can definitely still help you. I don't think it's a bad price either. It's definitely the price that you would have to pay. You just don't have to pay it, I guess, right now. And with that loaded of a team, I'd rather just hold as much liquid as I can. But I also don't hate it. So this is just one of those, like, it's not my process to do, but unless you're feeling the need, and especially when it's a little bit devalued, I guess, in this league, I still think you're probably having to pay a first for Zay Flowers, regardless of the league format. But I can't fault you for it, I guess, because of what you just told me as we were leading up to it.
Right. And I think that's it too, right? Is like, this is going to be the price, even in a devalued wide receiver format. People just aren't going to move their Zays in an ISO deal for less than a first, right? You could probably package some things together and maybe find a way out of it that way. But this is the price, even in a devalued format. Is it my process? Like you said, no, it's not my usual process. But at a certain point, F them picks, let me do the thing. But I feel like if I had my first in this format, I would be knocking to see, do I have any need at quarterback, any need at running back, any need at tight end? Can I tier up somewhere? Is there a deal I can make somewhere there before I circle back to this? Because you're telling me wide receiver is devalued, so my mind instantly goes to, okay, could I get a Jacoby Myers or something different that's much cheaper and still hold on to my first for exactly what you laid out there? Even if it's a late first, people are still going to want it down the road. It's still going to be the 12th best player in a class, so start 12 best ball. So it's still going to be something. But again, defending champ. If your viewpoint, your league's viewpoint is that this is going to be the outcome again, do your thing, man. Go get your stack. Go have fun. But. Yep. Anything else on this one?
No, I'm good with it. I think we got it in a good place. Fine with it, but maybe not what I would do, but also have fun. It's one of those leagues you're just so dominant in. What does it matter?
Okay. Last deal, Cody. Got Alec Mellon, Superflex, 12 teams, start 9, PPR. It's a 1.5 tight end premium. It's a 6-point passing touchdown, -2 for quarterbacks. We got Jaden Daniels and Mr. Golden being sent away for Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor. 12 by 9, man. That's the format where these elite quarterbacks truly, truly shine. We've already talked about Justin Jefferson. I'll tell you what, it's going to take more than 1 or 2 seconds to go from Golden to my Jefferson. You have a Jonathan Taylor as well, who, if you're telling me everything about that Indianapolis offense, it's probably going to be the JT show above all else. At least that's the bet I feel the best on. How do you feel here, man? Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, or Jaden Daniels and Golden?
Oh, man, right off the rip, it is hard for me to say whenever you have a starting lineup that's less than 10 and you put those type of 2 elite assets together that I'm not just taking the quarterback because they make up so much of a percentage of your starting lineup points. It's hard for me to move off of a top 4 quarterback, and Daniels is definitely one of them at this point. So it really just comes down to, like, what's that gap between Jonathan Taylor and Golden in terms of value? Like, I would say, do you have excess at quarterback? But this isn't even just excess at quarterback. Like, in this type of league, I would have to have 2 of the other 4 type of quarterbacks in the top 4 in Allen, Hurts, Daniels, and Lamar to really want to move off of that one just for even just to go to a Justin Jefferson type. This is a tough one for me on the surface. I could see some context to fill me in on it. And it really, in value, it's probably not too far off, but I just love those quarterbacks like Daniels in this type of format so much that it's difficult for me to get to.
It just changes the math, right? When you have that piece in place, right? And yeah, Jefferson, JT, it's an awesome, awesome package. So not sure if he loved it either, right? He wanted to have some fun. He has the assets to try and go and now get a Lamar or a Hurts from a rebuilder. So he has probably the same mindset in mind, right? Can I move this JD, get these pieces, and then come back up into Hurts or Lamar with the assets I have? He says he has JJ McCarthy, Cam Ward, JT, Chuba, Justin Jefferson, Puka, T. Higgins, Tet McMillan, Odunze, Worthy, Olave, Loveland, 426 first, 2 with 101 potential. So definitely has some things that he can go and get another quarterback on this team. McCarthy, Ward, so pretty young, pretty hopeful. JT, Chuba, that'll get by. JJ, Puka, T, Ted, Odunze, Worthy, Olave, sure. Loveland, all right, and then 426 first. Does that sway you? Or at least having the plan to go and figure it out, does that sway you?
It feels like it's almost just a little bit like you said, if you're having fun with it, you can have fun with it. But it feels like you're just down tiering out of the tier to have to spend the same assets to get back in the tier. Like you're doing the same, you're trading out of the Daniels to go get back into a Hurts or Lamar. It feels like you're just making 2 trades to get back to where you were. Now, if you do it with some of these first round picks and you don't have to give up like a Justin Jefferson or even a Jonathan Taylor, then you've kind of done that, right? Where, okay, well, I can use the Daniels to get to this tier now, and then I can get back into it just with liquid picks. But I guess I still would have rather seen myself get there with liquid picks before, just to make sure that I can do it, because it only takes 3 people in the league to say, no, I'm never trading one of those guys for me to never get back into that tier of quarterback, at least for this year. And that's where, like, I think it's just a little bit maybe an out of order operation for me. I can understand the operation completely, but I think it might just be a little bit of out of order.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm willing to be wrong if I can send Ward and a couple firsts to get up to a Lamar or a Hurts. Right? And then I'm sitting there, if I have Jaden Daniels and one of those guys,
That's also, yeah.
you know, like I'd probably want both of them, you know, and just not make the second deal. But I mean, that's just the nature of a 12x9 though, right? Is if you have the quarterback right, you have the math on your side and it just changes what you can do. So, I mean, yeah, it's a little tough for me to send away the Jaden Daniels. Again, the golden piece, one of these things is not like the other, but it just doesn't matter there for me. JT, he's a running back, so it does have a shelf life on the bet. Justin Jefferson is dope. But again, I'm willing to be wrong by a total point scored here if it's like positional, but I'm taking Jaden Daniels. I'm just doing it, Cody. I'm just taking Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the same one there. If it wasn't this type of the format, though, and we were both just trying to get to that level of quarterback no matter what almost, where would you have that separation? Like in, let's just say it was kind of a normally standard league or a start 10 or something like that, where what is the gap between Jonathan Taylor and Golden? And in a just standard evaluation, would you think that makes up the gap between Jefferson and Daniels?
And yeah, that's 12 by 11, even 12 by 10. It's like, yeah, I think that does make up that gap because there is a massive crater between Jonathan Taylor and Matthew Golden for me. So I think that does bridge that gap. If you're thinking from like startup ADP ranges and where Jefferson and Jaden Daniels go, I'm cool with the math there. But as we get to these shallower and shallower formats, it's just the quarterbacks can score so much more and they mean so much more. Yeah, so I think it could get there, right? Again, like what do you do? Like do you make that deal and then make another one to feel better? But I mean, here, like Alec, honestly, if you can go and get into a Hurts or a Lamar and keep what you've done there with Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor, I still like that. It's tough to move the quarterback in this format like we've laid out. It's just tough.
Yeah, and even in the normal, like even in our more standard leagues and the ones that start, 11, 12, it's just so difficult to move off of a Daniels level quarterback whenever I'm down tiering to now only being left with a McCarthy and a Ward type where I'm betting on two completely unknowns here. If even one of them just doesn't pan out, then now I'm scrambling to get back into a quarterback that I can hope ever gets back to a Jaden Daniels type. Right. So I would definitely be trying to make the second part of that move to try to get back up to that level of quarterback because one, the format dictates it, and I think even your roster dictates it a little bit.
Yeah. I agree. Again, it would feel great to have that move in the bag already and then do this. But again, if I did that move, Cody, I'm probably not even making the second one because I'm like, look at what I have now. Right. But speaking of thankful for what I have already, thank you for coming on the show for Gabe here. It's much appreciated. What do you got going on this summer, man? I know you got some things, but what do you got going on? Where can people find you? Once again, man, just thank you.
Yeah, the DD Fantasy Discord, that's basically where I live and breathe almost all the time, just hanging around in voice chat over there. Unfortunately, can't be talking during the days too much anymore, but I'm still always watching on the wall, still always lurking around. And then also the projections thing, referenced them a couple times on this show. It's projections for, I think I went down, I don't actually put in projections for all four quarterbacks but I put in four quarterbacks, I put in 5 running backs, 7 or 8 wide receivers and 4 tight ends and have projections for every single offensive player in the league. And if you want access to that, shoot me a DM wherever. You can find me at Cody Smith, TFDR on Twitter or X or whatever we call it now. Or if you have Discord and you know where I'm at on there, you can shoot me the DM there. And then just request access for it. I'll give it, it's fully free. I don't put in too much time into it. It's only like a 40-hour project over 2 weeks. It's not that much.
Plus 40 hours.
And I probably I have an idea to put in another about 20 into it to make it even better. So, but yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. We might be doing a little bit more with it and maybe making a show out of it over here, but we can't do anything about that yet because I haven't committed to it. So what you got going on your end, Ty?
It's Canada Day today, so I was going to go watch some curling or something, but we recorded, so you got me out of that one. I actually found out this week I am going to be going to the Kansas City Buffalo game in November, so that's pretty sweet. Shouts out to old Papa DeClaire for giving me my birthday / Christmas / every other holiday for the next 2 years gift. But yeah, really excited there. Just got a couple days off this week, short week, so maybe get some laundry in or something around the house. But not too much else. Dynasty Deal Show coming up this Friday. Same place in the Discord, DD Fans Football. Use the codes in the links below. Get onto the Discord, get onto the website, get onto Patreon, get into Underdog. Do the damn thing. Hit like, hit subscribe if you found this actionable, entertaining, anywhere in between. Go show Cody some love, man. You do a lot of work on that. You don't ask for money, but I'll give you compliments any day of the week. So I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate everyone that stuck around, listened to this to the end. We love y'all. We out of this thing. Peace.